This might seem like an ordinary rock you would find on any park or backyard, but when you take a closer look, its true nature begins to emerge. It's no ordinary stone, it's an opal. Though they're nothing special on the outside, the interior reveals all sorts of wonders. Number 1. Opals are basically an optical illusion. When gazing at the beautiful interior of a refined opal, what you're looking at is essentially a naturally formed optical illusion. The reason is that light is actually unable to pass through the stone at all. Instead, the light gets refracted by perfectly aligned tiny spheres of silica inside the gem. In turn, these spheres trick the human eye into seeing a bright spectrum of colors that changes with every possible angle. Number 2. Opals are made from rain. While it's never been officially concluded, one way or the other, many experts have long believed that opals form after rain seeps into tiny pores of the rock. But that's not all. This theory summarizes that after all the water has made its way into the core of the rock finally evaporates, it leaves behind a kind of silica gel. And once the silica is finally dry, it hardens and transforms into an actual opal. Number 3. Opals come in a wide variety of different colors. Opals can reflect every single color of the rainbow, which lends to their popularity as jewelry. White opals are the most commonly found, while black ones are the rarest. Number 4. The majority of opals exist in Australia. Experts suggest that roughly 95% of the world's opals are found here. They're usually mined in the town of Coober Pedy in South Australia. It makes sense that the opal is the country's national gemstone. Number 5. Ancient Romans saw opals as a sign of hope and good fortune. In 75 CE, an unnamed Russian scholar admitted to being mesmerized by the gem's colorful kaleidoscopic effects. Also, he had some pretty loving words about the gem. Some opals carry such a play within them that they equal the deepest and richest colors of painters. Others simulate the flaming fire of a burning sulfur, and even the bright blaze of burning oil, the scholar wrote. Australian Aboriginals recognise the importance of opals. It has been long written that the Aussie Aborigines believed that the opal was to be a sign of the Creator's touch. They also believed that opals were created at the end of a rainbow to allow harmony on Earth. Number 7. Opals exist on other planets. That's right, the opal is one of 2 gemstones to have ever been found away from Earth. With looks so out of this world, it only makes sense that opals have been discovered in space, but where? In 2008, NASA officially announced that they detected opal deposits on the Red Planet. Many people believe this discovery is further evidence that the planet once sustained life, which makes sense since opals require water for their formation. Number 8. Opals appear throughout Greek mythology. Not only were the ancient Greeks convinced that the opal had innate prophetic powers, but they also believed they were formed from Zeus's tears of joy after he defeated the Titans. Number 9. The opal is a birthstone of October babies. If you're looking for a gift to buy a friend born in October, look no further. Not only does the opal symbolize hope and purity in metaphysics, but also commonly regarded as a protective stone. Which makes sense when you think about how rough its exterior protects its beautiful inside. Number 10. You have to have a keen eye to be an opal miner. Opal miners need to be able to recognize the stone's characteristic streaks of color, which indicate the pressure of a precious gem concealed within. That's no simple task in a dark mine. Number 11. Some people think opals are bad luck. Not everyone believes that opals represent positivity and hope. In the 1800s, some marketers in the gemstone world began claiming the stones were actually bad luck. Nevertheless, the notion never really caught on. Number 12. Opals were important to a prominent figure in the British royal history. Queen Victoria admitted her favourite gemstone was the opal, and that's saying a lot for a woman who had the most expensive diamonds, rubies, and sapphires at her disposal. Now, the next time you see an old pile of rocks on the ground, you realize you probably should take a closer look. Who knows, one of them might actually be a precious stone.
Mike Smale, a 35-year-old man from Bridport, England, was using a metal detector on some farmland with his friends from the Southern Detectorists Club. They were hoping to find some unexpected treasure, whatever it may be. Mike was an amateur historian and fisherman, and he'd been walking through the farmer's fields with his detector in hand when he heard a beep. Right away, he and his friends began digging, even though they weren't exactly sure what they'd found. They had to comb through plenty of rocks and pieces of debris until they finally saw what set off Mike's metal detector. That was when they quickly realised it was the discovery of a lifetime. Just a few feet underneath the dirt was a collection of rare 2,000-year-old silver Roman coins. They'd stumbled across an incredible piece of history, and it was a discovery none of them saw coming. Thankfully, Mike and his friends had an audience to hear their good news. The farmland where they found the trove of coins was located near Devon, and it occurred during the Southern Detectorists' annual meeting, during which 300 people were in attendance. Needless to say, everyone was stunned at Mike's find. It was a wild experience for everyone there. Discoveries as big as Mike's rarely happened in Bridport. Occasionally, people will come across something unique, but rarely were these items ever worth a ton of money. So, how many coins did he find? Well, there were 600 2,000-year-old silver Roman coins in total. Some of them were said to have been minted while Mark Antony was allied with Cleopatra. Republican coins and those of Antony were issued before the Roman invasion of Britain in AD 43 and would have drifted over in the pockets of Roman soldiers and citizens alike, said coin expert Dominic Chorney. So, how much was this find worth? Experts weighed in on Mike's discovery and offered some very promising news. His haul could have been worth roughly $267,000, and to think it was all just sitting underneath an unassuming patch of farmland. Furthermore, experts estimated that a single Roman coin was likely worth around $12,000. Some of the coins were issued by emperors who ruled during the 1st century AD. I had a good idea about what it was. I had already found 1 or 2 Roman denarii that morning, Mike explained to reporters about his discovery. It's a great find, my biggest one. But I shan't be giving it up. It's great fun and I'm sticking with it. Now, Mike's team is working to figure out just how the coins ended up in the farmer's field to begin with. They assumed they must have been stored in a large pot that was struck by a plough and spread around like seeds. The chances of the coins all being found within a relatively small area would have been very slim if a plough had run over them again and again. Luckily, they were within close proximity to each other. Because the coins were found on the farmer's land, Mike said that he planned to split the earnings with the farmer and, of course, his friends from the Southern Detectorists Club, who were there that day. "Whatever I do get, I'm going to split with the guys I went up there with," Mike said in an interview afterwards. The Southern Detectorists always dispersed the money they received from their findings fairly. The group frequently travelled to locations far away if they had an inkling there was treasure. Sometimes they'd come up empty-handed, but often they would discover something that made their trip worthwhile. Mike wasn't the first of the Southern Detectorists to find something incredible. In 2014, a detectorist named Derek McLennan came across the largest hoard of Viking treasure ever found in Scotland. Then, in 2016, a bricklayer named Jason Baker came across another incredible treasure. It was 2,000-year-old lead bar used by the Romans. Even though his find wasn't as lucrative as Mike's, it was still worth $74,000. As for the rare 2,000-year-old Roman coins themselves, they were going to be delivered to the local authority to determine their final value. They would then be sold to a museum for display or research. Mike sure made off like a bandit with his incredible rare find. These are the kinds of discoveries that keep the Southern Detectorists excited about their work. As long as there's unexplored land, there are more incredible riches to uncover. Most days spent metal detecting are fruitless, but all it takes is one lucky find and you'll be set for a while, just like Mike.